Let's bring in Ryan Fitzpatrick, NFL on Prime Video, Thursday night. Thursday night, it's the Seahawks and the Cardinals. Do you agree with that? Jared Goff, a Super Bowl win, makes him a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Wow, we're starting with the tough questions early. I think so because it's Detroit as well. I think there's a lot of fan bases that would go crazy for that, but Buffalo and Detroit, if there's a quarterback could bring a Super Bowl to either of those, I think they'll end up in the Hall of Fame. So it's been amazing what Jared has been able to do in Detroit. And now switching offensive coordinators, everybody talked about the genius of Ben Johnson. And after the first game against the Packers, will they be the same ever again? I think we got that answer. I think they're going to be just fine.
What do you take away from last night's game?
I come out of that. I think the Ravens are going to be fine. But I come out of that game so impressed with Detroit and what Dan Campbell has done there, the mentality that those guys play with. Really happy for Kelvin Shepherd to step in at defensive coordinator, the emotion and the passion that he shows on the sideline. But I think Detroit right now, a lot of people obviously are going to say the Eagles, and you got to knock off the Eagles, but I think the Detroit's, for me, are my favorite team in the NFC.
The Ravens defense, they used to lead with their defense, Ryan. That defense was non-existent last night. That doesn't concern you?
It does a little bit. I mean, if you look to the week before, they made some big plays, fumble return for a touchdown, the interception return down to the 5 by Wiggins. They were missing Madubuike last night. They were missing Van Noy. I think we've seen this from the Ravens before, though. I think we've seen the struggles at the beginning of the year. I think they're too talented on defense. At all three levels, they're too talented to not figure this thing out by year's end.
More concerned about the Chiefs or the Ravens since they meet each other next week?
Yeah, I'm more concerned with the Chiefs. And I've been concerned with the Chiefs for the last few years, and I've been very wrong. I think a lot of us have, but I think everybody is saying, well, wait, the cavalry's coming. Rashee Rice is going to come back. Worthy's going to be healthy. This offense is going to get back on track and figure it out. But it just seems like things are difficult for the Chiefs right now on offense. And, they have a much better defense statistically than the Ravens do right now. But I just think the Ravens are a much better football team. And I think that'll show up on Sunday.
What's it like to go against a defense that is bad?
It's wonderful.
It
is
like
wonderful.
The Cowboys defense, there's no pass rusher. Secondary pretty shaky. Like, man, you probably have to hide your giddiness, I think, when you go on the field, don't you?
I think there's two different things as a quarterback. One is to go into a game knowing you're going to be able to run the ball at will, and for it to actually happen. That's when it's great, when you can have a relaxing game, when you can get those 5 and 10 yard plays and then a chunk run here every now and again, and it opens up the play action. They're having to load the box to try to do anything to stop the run game, and you've got one-on-ones on the outside with big advantages. That's huge. But in our Thursday night game, you saw Miami and the Bills, and they were running it at will, and then something happened at halftime, and there was just a lull. And so it's the beauty of the NFL where there's professionals on both sides of the ball. And I think the Cleveland Packers game reminded us of that this weekend, where it's like we think we have this whole thing figured out, and the Chiefs are falling down and the Ravens are no good anymore. And all of a sudden, the Browns go ahead and beat the Packers, who were the Super Bowl favorites 2 weeks ago.
How often did you go to the line of scrimmage and you go, touchdown, before the play?
So I'll tell you, I had the privilege of playing with a lot of great receivers. So if I could walk up and see a one-on-one matchup with a go ball, and I had Mike Evans on the outside, or I had a quarters look and I had Deshaun Jackson on a post, DeAndre Hopkins was that way too. And then my 2015 season with Brandon Marshall, I did that quite a bit, and he got in the end zone quite a bit. So I think a lot of that is based on matchups and the guys that you have on the outside.
How has quarterbacking changed in the last 10 or 15 years?
It's changed a lot. And I think, part of it is protecting the quarterbacks, less big hits, easier easier for these guys to stay healthy. It's still obviously going to hurt when you get hit. The great shot of Myles Garrett hitting Joe Burrow in the in the first week, where it's like, so you want to play quarterback in the NFL? This is what it looks like. But these rules have helped quarterbacks stay healthy and stay on the field. And I think the second thing that's a big difference, you've seen completion percentage jump way up. And the air yards on these passes, a lot of these offenses now getting the ball out on the perimeter, having those plays where it's a swing pass and there's a fullback or a tight end as the lead blocker out there. A lot of this is an extension of the run game. And so I think we're seeing a lot of quick passes, a lot of short passes. And I don't know that it's necessarily changing for the better. I like some of that other stuff. And that's why you like teams like Detroit and like to watch the play action and Jared Goff throw it down the field. And on 4th and 2, the Amon-Ra play action, trusting him to make that throw. But it's changed, and I don't know that it's changed for the better in terms of all the quick, short passes.
I don't know why more quarterbacks don't start under center. That it feels like you can run play action, like you can hide a little bit more. It's more deception there instead of being in the gun. Help me understand why we don't see more of that.
Yeah, I just think because of the way that it's being taught from a very young age now, and in college, it's all about, you have guys coming into the league that haven't really had to be in a huddle and haven't really had to bark out a cadence or a snap count. But that kind of stuff, it's easier to do. You like the spread out, wide open stuff in college, and so a lot of that occurs in shotgun. But it's a big difference. It's a big change for some of these guys coming into the NFL, and it is a huge advantage to be able to get under center.
You've got the Seahawks and the Cardinals on Thursday night. I thought Marvin Harrison Jr. was 1,000 yards, 100 catches. This is going to be easy. What the hell has happened?
I think part of it's a confidence issue. And you saw in the last game, he had 2 big drops. One of them ended up not costing him because they had a pass interference call in the end zone. But just, plays that he's probably made since he was 5 years old. And so that happens to guys sometimes where you fall out of confidence. So I think it's the job of Jonathan Gannon, especially the job of Kyler Murray, to try to bring him up out of this and to breathe life and breathe confidence in him, because he's a good player. I think the biggest knock on him so far, and I live in Arizona, so I've been hearing a lot of it, is, his inability to make that contested catch and to do it consistently. He obviously dropped a couple where he was open this last weekend, but going up and being strong and using your hands. And I think that the hard thing is the comparison is Larry Fitzgerald, right? He comes in and they want him to be the franchise guy like Larry was in the face of the franchise for 17 years. And he hasn't lived up to that billing yet, but he has the talent. So it's still early, and I hope he can make himself come out of this thing and gain some confidence back.
Would you put Jackson Dart in there for a home game against a better team, the Chargers, or on the road against a worse team, the Saints?
See, I've always had it circled. So we have week 6, I think. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, our week 6 game is the Giants, which is a Thursday night. And so being a guy that has started as the bridge quarterback for plenty of teams, you look at the bye week, first of all, and I think their bye week is week 14, so it wasn't going to happen then. And then you look at the Thursday night games where you can get a couple extra days of practice. So I've always had, after our game circled, week 7 would be his first start. It's difficult, obviously, to play this position, and Russell Wilson, there's a lot of things that he's going to try to cover up in terms of maybe the line play, the lack of threats on the outside, the running backs, whatever it is. It's nice for Jackson Dart to be able to sit and kind of watch him operate a little bit and get beat up. Their schedule is really tough. So he'll be in there soon, though, and I think there's a lot of excitement around him. We were able to do his preseason game, and what he will bring is a little bit more mobility to that position.
Fitz and Wit, a Wave original, wherever you get your podcast. You guys chopping it up, telling stories, giving dad energy there. How much fun has that been?
It's been a lot of fun. I put off the podcast for a couple years, and then what I realized was I finally found the right person to do it with. And Andrew Whitworth and I were teammates way back in 07, 08 for the Cincinnati Bengals. And our friendship has kind of come back around after we started working for Amazon together, but we love it. We just had Deion Dawkins on yesterday, and to be able to sit down and talk with some of these guys, some of them we have forged friendships with already, and some of them just really getting to know for the first time. And Big Schno was one of those guys, but what a character he is, and what a moment he's having with the Buffalo Bills. And he's kind of seen it all the last 8 years with that franchise, but he's been with Josh from the beginning. So it was cool to see and listen to some of those stories with Deion.
Good to talk to you. Have fun on Thursday. Great to catch up with you again.
All right. Thanks, Dan.